So last week we discussed several pieces of Republic heavy anti-air artillery, the SPHA-T and the RX-200, and I figured today would be a great opportunity to look at the other side of the war. Let's talk about the J-1 Proton Cannon, the separatist equivalent for those anti-air assets. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So, we've all seen the J-1. They played a prominent role in several campaigns across the Clone Wars, from the Battle of Ryloth to the Battle of Anaxes. But it's often just seen as a separatist heavy gun, and not much more is thought about as far as the way this weapon was utilized and developed. So I figured today we'd take a closer look at how this weapon was designed, and while we don't know the numbers quite as well, we can talk a little bit about its origins. So, like many separatist vehicles before the outbreak of the war, it actually did have a direct allegiance to one of the financial institutions that had a strong political foundation in the Outer Rim. Before the outbreak of the war, it was operated in service of the Techno-Union. I don't know what the Techno-Union was using anti-air cannons for, but it was a Techno-Union vehicle, and when the war broke out, its production was ramped up, as it would obviously be needed more. It quickly slipped into a role as a heavy anti-air artillery piece within the separatist military, a role it would fill through the duration of the war. It fired these heavy proton shells, which did mean that it needed to be reloaded fairly frequently, and would eject spent shell cartridges out the back of the cannon. We see this in several scenes, and we know that these proton shells were incredibly powerful because we see a number of these actually take down an Acclamator-class assault ship. So let's talk about the story of these weapons. So the first place we see them on the battlefield is at the Battle of Ryloth, where they play a key role in separatist air defense, preventing Republic landings on the planet. Several of these guns were set up in the heart of the city of Nabat on Ryloth to prevent Republic forces from landing near that city, and they did this job very effectively, actually managing to take down an Acclamator-class assault ship, which is an impressive feat, as an Acclamator-class assault ship is a heavy capital ship, all things considered. A small number, about a dozen of these guns, were able to bring it down, so that's just a testament to how capable they were. These guns would become the primary target for the initial Republic landings, which ultimately took control of these guns and took control of the city of Nabat in the process, allowing the Republic to secure a landing zone and land the Acclamators that were waiting for clearance for these guns to be disabled. Now, these guns didn't pop up anywhere else throughout the Battle of Ryloth, as far as I'm aware, although they likely were in position around things like the capital city on that planet, which would have been vulnerable to air attack, especially seeing as the only land access to that city was a bridge. But we do know they were used during the Second Battle of Geonosis in an effort to prevent Republic forces from landing on that world. Set up, they were used against Republic landing craft that were deployed from a low-flying Acclamator-class assault ship. Instead of targeting the assault ship itself, they targeted the LAATs, and they proved to be very effective, knocking out LAATs in single shots, which is not that impressive compared to taking down an Acclamator, but still a pretty impressive feat for a small field gun. And the last place we see these on the ground is the Battle of Anaxes, where a large number of these guns are used to defend the manufacturing complex on the planet, where they attempt to defend against a Republic bomber raid. They're only seen very briefly, but it's clearly a very large number of them. Now, there is one more place I suspect these cannons popped up, although it's not officially stated in any documentation. I think it's possible that we do see some of these stationed on board the Invisible Hand during the Battle of Coruscant. Now, I mentioned earlier this week in my video about the AV-7 that the deck guns on the Venator are likely AV-7s, and most evidence I've found, even outside of Canon sources, seem to support this. I can't find any evidence as to what the separatist deck guns are, but they look a lot like J-1s. So I think it's possible that there was a naval variant of the J-1 that was deployed on separatist capital ships. Now, it's definitely worth noting that this is a theory that I have based on the physical appearance of these weapons and the way they seem to be operated, but it is still a viable possibility, especially because we know that the Republic was doing just that, taking their large field artillery and just placing it on their warships. So who's to say the Separatists weren't doing the same? At the end of the day, though, the J-1 was a key part of Separatist anti-air assets deployed across the Clone Wars, and they played a big role in keeping Republic landing forces and Republic capital ships away from the ground battles of the Clone Wars. The Republic arguably had a better tool for that, and if you'd like to learn about that tool and why that tool wasn't deployed very often, I'll leave a link up here to my video on the SPHA-T, the heavy artillery piece deployed during the Battle of Geonosis, and basically nowhere else, that likely kept Separatist warships from getting anywhere near ground battlefields. And I'd like you to let me know down in the comments whether you think the guns we see on the Invisible Hand during the Battle of Coruscant are J-1s, or do you think they're just something kind of similar? Do you think I'm jumping the gun, pun intended, by assuming that those might be the same kind of artillery, or do you think I might have a point? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars or anywhere else in science fiction, you can let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.